It is year 26, week 1 of PFR on Lakeshore Public Television. Tonight we get you ready for opening kickoff tomorrow night of high school football in Northwest Indiana.
And we always talk about it this time of the year. It's a balanced field. This is as balanced as I've ever seen.
I have to agree. I can't tell you. I've been getting the question the last month and a half, who's going to be the best team? And I've been telling the correct answer. I have absolutely no clue who's going to be the best team in Northwest Indiana this year. We'll try to find out, though, when we come back with PFR on Lakeshore Public Television. We are back on PFR on Lakeshore Public Television. A new year means new conferences and new sectional alignments, Wayne. We'll go try to cover some of that here as we check out the new conference breakdowns. Well, the big time conference is still the same, Wayne. The DAC has a couple of new coaches and still the same look team-wise.
You know, they really do. Artie Akiwa, the Crown Point, is going to be a focal point for a lot of them. And I like the idea of Wilkins, DJ Wilkins from Maryville, and Sean Streck, the big defensive, offensive lineman. But you know what's going to interest me the most in this conference? Portage going to the bone.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, they struggled finding a quarterback last year.
Yes.
And they have some guys that can run the ball. Definitely. Did Wally McCormick go visit Russ Radke over there?
I don't know.
That'd have been an interesting conversation. Okay, couple of new coaches. Coach Seiss, we'll hear from him. Coach Sharp over at LaPorte. Here is the Greater South Shore Conference now, Wayne, split into two divisions, the North and the South, with Calumet, Knoll, and Lake Station and River. Whiting up into 2A this year.
Yeah, and they have a good quarterback, Glasgow, coming back, and they have Petroff, the wide receiver. Petroff. So, I mean, they're going to be talented again this year.
Let's check out the South Division. LaPorte is bounced up to 6A, one of those in the DAC that had to move. Boone Grove, Hanover Central, North, Newton South Central, and Wheeler, who's also in 3A.
Right. I think that'll be good for Wheeler. I think that's a good competition there, and certainly with 3A, we'll challenge them.
Okay, how about the Great Lakes Athletic? I think we've got that one to look at as well. The Hammond Schools with Clark, Gavitt, Morton. Clark opening up on Saturday night this week with Whiting.
Rippy Morales at Morton.
Ripper Morales, big offseason story, of course, is Roy Richards no longer at Morton. Rippy Morales, the new coach there. It'll be interesting to see how those Morton players carry on that tradition as Morton has come into the fold the last few years as a big-time high school football program.
Tevin Armstrong is back for his senior year at Morton, and he's a heck of a quarterback.
Right. All right. One of the new conferences, Wayne, is the Northwest, well, not a new conference. We'll get to that one in a minute, but the Northwest Crossroads has Andrean moving from 3A to 4A.
Right.
And Munster down from 5A to 4A. So you look at Lowell, Munster, Andrean, and Hobart, 4 big-time schools now all in Class 4A.
That's a tough conference. Yes, Andrean has lost a lot, as everybody has in the region, but they've got a quarterback, Brian Schmidt, who is going to be very good. And you look at that, KV, I think they're going to be my surprise team this year. They've got their quarterback, Webster, back. They've got a big defensive lineman, Riley Fisher, back. And they run that flex bone also. I think they're going to be very good. But I like Lowell, too, with Ike James.
Got to like Ike James. Got to love the Red Devils. KV also in 4A. You really got to like this conference from the standpoint that they're all going to play each other.
Right.
But then they could all play each other again in the postseason.
That's right.
So you know, are you going to sandbag during the regular season?
I don't think so.
Or hold some things, until the sectional?
Well, maybe it'd get closer to the sectional, but not early on. They're not.
And Plymouth is going to be a huge influence in the sectional 10 because they have a tremendous team coming back. The Hoosier North, Wayne, is one of the new conferences out there, and this is the home of my surprise team of the year.
Okay.
My Jays of North Judson, Wayne, down from 2A to 1A. North Judson in 1A could be a fierce ball club come sectional time.
And I believe this is the second or third year that they're starting to run the bone also.
Right.
So that's going to be a big thing. Now, this is the year that they need to step up.
And why could it be big? Because Winnemac, along with Whiting, jumps to 2A.
Right.
So, I mean, and Winnemac and Whiting wouldn't see each other, I think, till the regional in 2A. So Whiting has finally got the Warriors the heck out of that sectional. That was the quote of the preseason, Martin Petrov.
Yeah.
And they know what quote I'm talking about. Yeah, there's an angry. It's a synonym for angry, but Whiting, he said, was an angry synonym football team. So I like that. All right, time for the only poll that matters. You don't have to get those newspapers tomorrow, folks. You really don't have to see that poll because it really doesn't matter. This is really the only poll in Northwest Indiana, in the world, that matters. Right here, the PFR Top 10. Wayne, all the football teams in Northwest Indiana are, of course, at someone's house eating their mom and dad out of house and home, whoever's hosting tonight. But they're waiting for this poll because this is really the only poll that matters.
No doubt about that. We've got a lot of good people in there. I mean, they're New Prairie. They've had a great season last year. Rensselaer was a state champion this year. They are now in our top 10, or last year.
2A state champs, now in 3A.
Right. That's right. And the number one team in the top 10 was a runner-up last year for state honors.
Well, I mean, I have absolutely no clue what this poll actually should look like, so I'll criticize it just because you made it.
Okay.
But I don't know who should be 1 through 10 at all based on what we've got going. We'll start to find that out tomorrow night. But I think you got to go with Andrean as the top team in Northwest Indiana out of respect to a state championship 2 years ago and to a state runner-up a year ago. Right. Obviously that game, but they did lose some studs.
Yes, they did. They did. And all of Northwest Indiana lost a lot of studs. I mean, you look at Rensselaer, we put them in number 5, and usually they start in the little 5 and then move it up to the top 10. But they won the state last year. Right. And kudos to them for doing that.
Maryville lost a couple of outstanding wide receivers. They've got their defensive front back. They got Sean Streck going both ways. Oh, he's playing center as well.
Wow. He is just he's an all-star wrestler. He's an all-star football player. He is just outstanding.
Got a veteran quarterback back who's had a lot of experience. That's Crown Point. Let's talk about them. They got Artie Akiwa now playing running back and defensive back. He's no longer playing quarterback. I got a chance to talk to him a couple weeks ago, and he's thrilled with the position change. He's a tremendous offensive weapon. Crown Point, my people tell me Crown Point will be young on defense, but they will score a lot on offense.
Well, if they give it to Artie, they'll score a lot. There's no doubt about that.
All right, number one team in Northwest Indiana. I think we can tell you safely, if you picked Andrean, you're probably correct.
That's
the Andrean
right.
59ers are the number one team in Northwest Indiana. How about the Little Five? Only on PFR can a team be ranked ahead of a team that has soundly beat them the last 2 years. That's right. Winnemac, who has throttled Whiting the last two seasons, now at number 5 to start the year.
Not this year.
Not this year? Okay, you're stepping up. Whiting at number 1 now in 2A, West Central, Wheeler, Judson, and Winnemac. There is your Little Five out of the gate for this season. Don't forget tomorrow night, the only show you need on Friday nights, live at 10:30, PFR School Board right here on Lakeshore Public Television. And don't forget, prior to that, 6 p.m. on 89.1 FM, the Lakeshore, you can hear Lakeshore Game Night.
Yes. Andy Schultz and Brian Gertz.
Forgot the name of the program.
That's right.
Wayne. And Wayne Svetnoff joins them at 9 o'clock. Lakeshore Game Night, 89.1 FM. The Lakeshore on the radio dial, and that's at 6 o'clock till 10:30 this season on Friday evenings. All right, we're going to take a time out, come back. We've got Wayne's World coming up. The red check mark after a tremendous close to the basketball season is back for the start of the football season. All that and more coming up next on PFR. We do have a lot of new coaches in Northwest Indiana, so we're going to get those set for you tonight prior to the kickoff of the football season tomorrow night. Let's go to the board, Wayne, for some new coaches. Ben Geffert, the former Panther, I think he was tight end wide receiver in his days at Griffith.
Yeah. My mailman said, make sure you give him some props, bud. I said,
well, he's
no
about
problem.
6'5", if I remember. So, yeah, you better give him some props. We'll see how the Panthers do tomorrow night against Wawasee.
Right.
Dave Sharp at LaPorte from John Glenn, so he's familiar with that area of high school football. Former LC assistant Pete Koulianis down now in Cedar Lake at Hanover. Eric Stevens, assistant coach at LaPorte, now at South Central. Austin Robeson over at River. Jeff Bean, former River coach at North Newton. And one of our buddies, former Red Devil, Adam Hudak.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I should say once a Red Devil, always a Red Devil. But Adam Hudak, now the head coach at Lake Station, and Coach Brad Seiss, the most probably known coaching change with Coach Zach Wells headed off to Illinois to coach over there at Homewood Flossmoor. All right. I believe we're going to hear from the head coach of the Maryville Pirates, Coach Brad Seiss, getting ready for his first game as Maryville head coach tomorrow night.
I got to lean on my assistant coaches pretty heavily. They're familiar with our opponents, the Duneland. You know, they've kind of grounded me a little bit because obviously, you know, even though we are more talented than where I've been, we play a lot better, you know, teams as well. So we had an offensive coordinator here in Joe O'Connell that fits what I think that we should be doing. And so he's continuing to be our offensive coordinator. We've got a lot of guys in place that have done a lot of good things for us offensively. DJ, he's a good quarterback, and you know, he's done a lot of good things. If he continues, you know, where he's been his first 2 years as our starter, you know, he'll set pretty much every Maryville passing record. It's good he's on our team and not somebody else's. Defensively, I had an idea where we wanted to go, and our defensive coaches had the same vision. So we're shifting over to a different style of defense a little bit, but you know, for the most part, our coaching staff's been all on the same page, and things are going well. I'd be shortcoming our kids if we didn't have the expectation of winning the Duneland and competing for a sectional championship. I mean, that's the expectation here. We've got a lot of tough teams that are in our conference, they're in our sectional, but you know, if you want to achieve high goals, you got to set high goals.
All right, Coach Brad Seiss, Maryville Pirates hosting Andrea tomorrow on the Battle of Broadway. Time for Wayne's picks for Week 1 of the high school football season. Time for Wayne's World. They are celebrating 50 years of Munster football this weekend with a reunion coming up this weekend over at Munster, and all the football players invited back by Coach Friend and Coach Marsh, the two coaches in Munster football history. Two great men, and many of their former players will be coming back to honor the program. So that's got to be a very exciting weekend for them, Wayne, definitely.
I think those first two games, Lake Central, Munster, and New Prairie and LaPorte, New Prairie and LaPorte have a heated rivalry over there. So I think those are going to be really outstanding games.
LaPorte won 56-42 last year, and who would have thunk back then that those two teams headed to the state finals in their classes. Rensselaer, coming off a state championship in 2A, the dream season for the Bombers, so to speak. How has that changed their expectations and their outlook this year? That'll be something that we'll have to keep an eye on all year.
That's right. And KV, you know, is going to make a strong statement this year. This is where they can start it.
Calumet and Gavitt. We've heard this about Gavitt maybe the last couple of years, that they are young and they have some talent, and maybe this could be a big year. It hasn't worked out that way for Coach Robinson and his team the last two seasons. So this is one of those games that I have absolutely no clue who will win the Gavitt-Calumet game.
Yeah, it depends on how many people show up for either team, you know, the studs that are there.
Hobart looking for a year where they're going to be able to compete in 4A and Whiting and Calumet, or Whiting and Clark is on Saturday night this week.
Right.
Michigan City and South Bend. What do you think about Boone Grove? This schedule's a little wacky. We got Boone Grove going to Wabash and or playing Wabash. We got Griffith playing Wawasee. Not your normal matchups in the first week of the season.
No, and it's going to be really interesting to see, Boone Grove and how well that they can come against a Wabash team. And Winamac, you said Winamac is an outstanding team, and they were last year, and it depends on how many people they had back. I'm not sure, but that's an outstanding program.
But you've picked Whiting against Winamac for about the last 6 years.
Yes, I have.
You're going to keep doing it, right?
Probably.
It's not going to get old. All right, elsewhere, some of the Duneland teams playing weird schedules as well. Chesterton and Kokomo.
Where did that come from? I mean, they used to play South Bend St. Joe,
right.
And now all of a sudden they're going all the way to Kokomo to get a game. Well, that's great. And then that rivalry, Penn and Valpo. I mean, I really do hope that this is the year that Valpo can turn that around a little bit and change their fortunes against
There's been
Penn.
controversy on Twitter about actually the official Valpo fan Twitter account, I guess. Yeah. You're not off to a great year when there's controversy about the fan Twitter page, Wayne. That's probably not a good thing. Mishawaka, and I know Coach Wally McCormick is thrilled that neither you nor I picked Portage as their surprise team of the year. I think we jinxed them last year. Then they had the injured quarterback, and things just never got rolling.
That's right. And Wheeler and River Forest. River Forest had a decent year last year, but Wheeler just seems to be reloading every single year.
I'm interested to see how Coach Koulianis affects the Hanover program out of the gate.
I am too. I really am too. I know Pete. He's a good person, and he, this is a good opportunity for him. But he's coming into a good situation.
I think
brand
so.
New coach and
a year under the belt of the program.
Yeah.
Definitely.
One of my favorite games here is Lowell and Crown Point. This is a bucket rivalry, isn't it? And Lowell with Ike James coming back is probably the very best running back in the area this year.
I think it's the leather helmet, right? Something like
it could be.
Yeah, and I think I can predict points tomorrow night.
Oh, yes.
I think for the Lowell Crown Point game, I would predict points and maybe a lot of them.
Yes.
On both sides, and that should be a high scoring battle. Now, Lowell came out in the scrimmage and threw the ball all over the place, right?
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that.
No, I don't think they are either, actually, Wayne. Yeah. Quarterback's got a sore arm. He won't throw it again the rest of the year.
That's
so
right.
We'll see how that works out. All right, time now for only a few of the many games that Wayne probably got wrong for tomorrow night. Time now for the check mark. I could have picked a lot of them, Wayne, but I only did pick two. I love Coach Geffert, but I just don't think that they're going to be ready to win a game against a tough program tomorrow night.
Yeah, Wawasee is very difficult. It's a tough, and they're on the road. Griffith's on the road. But it'd be nice to see them, get a nice first win of the season.
Wawasee is a solid program, and Griffith, of course, has struggled the last few years with numbers, with depth, with maybe being defensively sound, physical enough. It's probably going to take him more than 1 week to get things turned around.
I think so, and I wonder if they're still going to run the bone, if they're not going to go away from that, because you've ever played on a teams that ran the bone at Griffith there.
All right, and our other check mark game, Wayne, is what is it? Week 1 of our show?
This is week 1.
Okay, that's what I thought. And it only took 1 week for you to start disrespecting the Duneland Conference, Wayne. Picking New Prairie over LaPorte, and I think hashtag Wayne hates the Duneland is appropriate again here on opening night for PFR.
Hey, I love LaPorte, but everybody in the Northwest Indiana was surprised at their success last year and really happy for LaPorte. But they lost a number of people. I think they have their quarterback maybe back.
They got a few guys back.
Yeah.
Man.
But New Prairie has had their number
except for last year. They got a few guys back, too. New coach Dave Sharp coming from John Glenn. John Glenn plays New Prairie, so he'll be no stranger to what Coach Radke does offensively and defensively. So they'll know their tendencies. And LaPorte won 56-42 last year after they trailed, I believe, really early in that game. But that'll be a great game tomorrow night. Could be high
He did
scoring
right
as
for
well. So I like LaPorte. I like Wawasee with the red checkmark games tomorrow night. All right, time to check out our game of the week. Battle of Broadway and Drayin 2 in a row over the Pirates at Demery Stadium. Will that change tomorrow night? Well, what do you think, Wayne?
This is a real toss-up game because, number one, Andrain has lost a large number of athletes, real star athletes. They do have a quarterback who looks like he's going to be, right in the line with Paliga and DeSomer and those types of people, and Schmidt.
And he's had some experience.
Yes, he has. But, when you look at Maryville, I know they got a new coach, but when you have a DJ Wilkins, you have a Sean Stratt, you have speed, and you have, athleticism like that, I really think, and they're at home.
You pick against them.
I did.
That's what you do.
I
When they
think
have
this is
all
gonna
of
be a
that,
great game.
when they have all that, what do? You pick against them,
Yeah,
right?
right.
All right, that's what I figured. All right. Sean Streck, nobody out there for Andrain. Don't challenge him to a wrestling match tomorrow night during the game.
Don't run his way.
Defending a heavyweight
Don't run
state
his way.
champ in wrestling last year, undefeated.
Come on, Coach Mason.
Tradition, of course, on the side of the Niners.
Yeah.
State champs 2 years ago. Runner-up last year. They beat Maryville. They're moving up to Class 4A.
Boy, that'd be a good one.
So a big game tomorrow night in Maryville. And Coach Seiss, it didn't take him long to be aware of the fact that they've lost to Andrain the last 2 years. I think he's heard that, it sounded
Right,
like.
right.
So let's see what he thinks about the matchup tomorrow night with Andrain.
It's definitely exciting, big rival for us. We get to play Andrain right down the road, a few blocks down the road, and I'm excited to be a part of the Battle of Broadway. And this is the first time we played them in week 1, and it's one we want to get. They've beaten us the last couple of years, and our kids are excited for it. And I think it'll be a great first game to really get us focused and ready to have a good season.
No Josh Barajas, no Johnny Albamonte, no Matt DeSomer.
Jake Paliga.
Jake Paliga.
Yeah, that's right. But the only tip I can give Coach Mason is do not run the ball towards Streck's side.
They may move them around. Maryville may move them around.
Oh, they should.
New Maryville
They
defense,
should.
I guess,
That's
out
right.
there. But Lowell had success offensively against
Yes, they
Maryville in
did.
the scrimmage. But we'll see if Maryville was showing everything that we'll see tomorrow night. It'll be a great opening night of high school football tomorrow night in Northwest Indiana. We will have all the scores, highlights live Friday night, 10:30, right here on Lakeshore Public Television. PFR scoreboard is where you want to be if you want to see the latest in high school football before the paper hits on Saturday morning. We'll have scores and highlights from across Northwest Indiana. And also, don't forget Lakeshore Game Night coming your way on 89.1 FM to Lakeshore tomorrow, beginning at 6 o'clock with Andy Schultz and the crew. And Wayne will be on there early and often, and they'll have up-to-date reports from across all of Northwest Indiana tomorrow.
I love that show. I really do. I think Andy's in the back working on that show already. It's amazing.
He could be in there, Wayne. We'll see. All right, we will see you tomorrow night live Friday at 10:30 for PFR School Board. Good night.